iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the world of Outlaws.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the season finale of season number 3 here on iRacing for your World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Cars. Randy Chinette and Higa Louis bringing you all the action tonight here on Race Spot TV, iRacing Live, as well as on Dirt Vision. We have ourselves 13 cars, field tonight here of the best 410 sprint car drivers on the iRacing service, coming at you from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, also known as Williams Grove. Qualifying is currently underway, and right now the number 2 of Lewis Hewitt, he had the top spot with a quick time of 16.469. Handful of drivers still yet to put down a timed lap though. Austin Sullivan, Tim Ryan, Kevin Hawley, and Chase Briscoe are who are waiting to come through, put in some quick times. Sullivan's on his first time lap right now, and let's see how he does through 3 and 4 for the final time. He comes up off corner number 1 and 2. He's going to begin his second lap. Let's see if the first one's any good. At the end of lap number 1, he's going to go 4th quickest, and he's going to abort in the middle of 1 and 2. So Austin Sullivan, he'll be rolling off no better than 4th this evening. Take a look right now at your championship points, though, as they stand. While Austin Sullivan isn't going to be very happy about that qualifying result, he should be ecstatic about his situation in the points as he sits right now. 1,771 points in this championship after 11 scored weeks. Alex Bergeron is the next closest driver with 1,593. Stephen Arnaud sits third with 1,569. Then you get Kevin J. Hawley and Nelson Webster rounding out your top 5. Qualifying continues here. They're still waiting on Tim Ryan. Chase Briscoe just put in a lap time as well for a 17.183, and your 3 of Tim Ryan at the end of his first lap has a bit of a half spin, so he's going to have to try and only get one good timed lap at this, as the time allotted for qualifying is slowly ticking away. No Cam Walsh, I'm sure as you noticed tonight. It's supposed to be Cam's night off regardless. It's supposed to have some family fun time and go to the fair. But Cam ended up getting sick, so he didn't get to go to the fair, and he can't help out as Tim Ryan continues to have problems out there. Track conditions today: clear night tonight here in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Track temperature 73 degrees with a northerly wind fluctuating between 8 and 9 miles per hour. And as well, track usage is relatively moderate here starting out, so should be some decent grip still on the bottom, but that top is looking slicked off as well, especially through 1 and 2. The cars we've seen run time so far have been down along the bottom of the racetrack, and here comes Ryan working the top of 3 and 4. Let's see, can he get this second lap going quickly? He struggled on the last out lap, and he failed on his last hot lap as well, but into 1 and 2 he goes along the bottom of the racetrack. Early swings out wide on the exit of corner number 2, down the back straightaway under the bridge, and into corners number 3 and 4 now for the final time. He needs to get on that throttle. I think he's a little scared to do so, struggling for traction in that number 3 machine. That time's gonna be a 16.554, so struggling for grip, but it's still gonna be good for P number 5 here on this grid. And with that, let's go down the 13 car starting field here from the season finale, week number 12 at Williams Grove. Lewis Hewitt will be the only driver to get into the 16.4 second bracket, with Stephen Arnaud will be starting on the outside of him on row number 1. Ricky J. Sanders, he'll be heading up second row, in third place, with Austin Sullivan starting on the outside of him. Tim Ryan and Cameron Hollow will make up row number 3, with Bob King and Bill Arend making up row 4. Kevin J. Hawley and the Dirty Dude Derek Walker make up row 5, with Keith Starnes and Chad Robinson on the 6th row, and Chase Briscoe will round out the 13-car field tonight. So 13 cars, 30 laps here at Williams Grove. It's been a bit of an up and down season thus far. A number of races have been super exciting, but a couple of races I'm sure you're aware of, those who regularly tune in. A little bit caution-filled here in this iRacing Championship. But I hope tonight, under the lights at Williams Grove, should get a good one. Williams Grove tends to put on the best races of the season. I have seen Eldora usually be there very close behind in that. So we're just going to wait now for everyone to get themselves on the grid, get themselves ready for 30 laps of action tonight. As everyone's just going to check their setups, make sure they got the race fuel in, tire pressures, wing angles, make sure everything's right, everything's set, and especially maybe make some adjustments after what they felt on that practice, that short practice and qualifying runs they had as to the track conditions. As always, first race of the week is what gets broadcasted on Monday, so these guys have been somewhat, maybe a little bit blind coming into this, but then again, this is going to be the third time this season these guys will be running here at Williams Grove, so they should have things relatively solid, relatively dialed in here. Still waiting on a couple of people to hit the grid, one of which is Lewis Hewitt in the 2, your pole sitter, and then it'll be two pace laps, and then we will be off. Things to watch for tonight, as always, here at Williams Grove and on any of these dirt races, especially as we're coming off with the conditions we have today. Look for that bottom line potentially slicking off and just completely go away. Drivers, I think early on, will be wanting to get down to that bottom line early. So look for everyone to fan out and try to get single file in the early stages. But as that bottom line starts to lose grip, you can and will see drivers start moving up to the top of the racetrack. That's going to depend a lot, though, on the number of cautions we get as everyone gets themselves rolling off now to start the first of 2 pace laps here tonight. Of course, the more cautions we get, the more likely we are to not see that top groove become the favored place to be. Other things to keep in mind, of course, that this racetrack is fuel. You might not think about it, but if you get a long green flag run here at Williams Grove, 30 laps is a long time for these cars. These 410 World of Outlaws style sprint cars, typically around a track like this, are gulping down about a gallon per lap. And some of the longer races in the real world, it's not uncommon at tracks like this, tracks like Eldora, to actually see them have to bring these cars down on the pit lane and the features and actually refuel them. So as we come to the end of pace lap number 1, it's going to be all eyes on the 2 of Lewis Hewitt, I think, as we start the second pace lap now. And it's going to be just, expecting Lewis Hewitt to get himself a good jump. Expect Steven Renaud to try to get a good response as well. Austin Selman starting from that 4th position. I think you all can expect for him that we're going to be seeing a good run from him. He doesn't have to be too aggressive. He already has that championship pretty much in hand. So look for him to be a little bit calm, maybe even just have a little bit of fun tonight. He can really get away with this, and he could either be calm or he could go just all out, know that there's nothing to lose here tonight, and we could see him really fight back from that 4th spot. That said, this is the end of caution lap number 2. Pace truck comes in. We're about to have 13 410 World of Outlaws sprint cars unleashed here at Williams Grove. Green flags in the air. And it's an early move for Austin Selman trying to get up into that 3rd position. He might have caught himself a black flag trying to get around the driver of Steve Renaud, who did not get a good jump whatsoever. For the first time, though, they cycle themselves into corner number 3 and 4. And as expected, everyone working the bottom of the racetrack side by side for 3rd. Selman works on the inside of Steve Renaud into 1 and 2. But Selman a little bit loose there at the mid-corner. They're going to be 3 wide up and off in corner number 2. And Selman gets into the 3, 2 cars around, might be 3 or 4 involved. We see Derek Walker get into it as well, and that's going to be caution out there on the racetrack as your championship points leader Austin Selman gets into a big incident here at the end of lap number 2. We'll be getting a replay of that up on your screen here shortly, and here we go right now. You see Austin Selman went for the move on the inside of Steven Renaud, but just a little bit of oversteer there at the mid-corner. Back end started to step around. He had to get way out of the throttle to get that thing back underneath him, and you see the 3 machine. That's Tim Ryan, who qualified in P number 5, and as Ryan started to track out, Selman got that car underneath him. It just went down the racetrack. The 2 came together. From there, not much you could really do to avoid a big incident like that one. So that's probably going to be the end of Selman's night here. Tim Ryan seems to be out and circulating still. It wasn't too hard of a hit for him, but you have to think that car may not be straight. Probably, these cars, you don't really drive these cars straight, especially here under yellows with all the stagger they have on the rear end. But if he has any bent steering whatsoever, it can make these things a complete handful to drive. Keeping an eye, though, on that pace truck as we work the second yellow lap here. And I think we should be getting the 1 to go for these guys either this time or next time by. Lights are still on. Then let's see. Some people are sort of forming up and some people are going back single file. So let's see what happens. Drivers will generally preemptively form up as they come off corner number 4. And that seems to be what they're doing. So expect the lights to go out this time by. and we'll be green here in 1/2 mile around this Williams Grove Speedway. So one more lap under caution, and we will go back to green flag racing at the end of lap number 5, starting lap number 6. It's a good jump from Lewis Hewitt, though, at that start. He got a good breakaway over Ricky J. Sanders. It's a good jump for Sanders, though, qualified 3rd, and because Steve Renaud really struggled on that start, Sanders got himself to an early P2, and now he's going to roll off from that 2nd position. Renaud goes back to 3rd, rolling off 4th. We're going to have Cameron Holla, with Bob King and Tim Ryan rounding out your top 6. Into 3 and 4 they come, though. First restart of the night, and Lewis Hewitt back in command of the field. Green flag flies again, and Hewitt gets a good run down your front straightaway. Into 1 and 2 they come now, and Hewitt from Sanders. Sanders very close to the back of that black number 2 machine, with Steve Renaud very close as well. They work themselves down the back straightaway, almost side by side between teammates Cameron Holla and Tim Ryan into 3 and 4, but they fan out 3-4 wide. We got Derek Walker up in the wall here at the exit of 3 and 4. Caution flies again. Walker was upside down for a moment. Bit of a awkward, I think, situation there. Going to be getting a replay of that here in a few moments' time as well. Let's see what happened down here in corners number 3 and 4. Well, this is basically just all on Derek Walker, I think. Into corner number 1 and 2. Actually, he may have had some help, and I think he did indeed. The number 7 of Bill Lorenz got into the back of the 10 of Derek Walker, and that sent Derek down into that inside wall and went upside down for a moment. Kevin J. Hawley got a piece of it, as well as Chase Briscoe. Chase trying to come from the back of the field, which we typically see in this series. Chase is someone who tends to struggle in these 410 sprint cars in terms of qualifying. It's not unlikely to see him start in the back half of the field, if not in the back row of the field, and see him drive his way towards the front of the pack. He's already up about 4 or 5 spots on the night, qualified 13th, dead last, and is currently up in the 8th position. But another early caution tonight here at Williams Grove, and this is unfortunately going to count down the laps here of the 30-lap feature main event, already counting lap number 8. And by the time we get back going green, it should be around lap number 9 or 10. I think 10 more than likely. So, hopefully we can get everyone to calm it down just a little bit once we go back to the green flag conditions, and then once that happens, get some good racing underneath the belt tonight. Let's see, everyone forming up again. Let's see, do the lights on that pace truck go out? And indeed they do, so we will be green this time by end of lap number 9, coming to lap number 10, so it'll be just under 1/3 distance when we go back to green flag racing. The end of that first green flag lap will be 1/3 distance. Still have 12 cars out there and circulating of the 13-car field. Austin Selman, the only one, scored out of this race tonight. He's currently scored 5 laps down on pit road. Do not expect him to make a return in the show this evening. Derek Walker, who is involved in that, he's currently the last running car. Good to see him not come down pit road. Tells me that was basically a light touch. But that said, pace truck back onto pit lane. And we expect Lewis Hewitt to get on that go pedal early, and indeed he does. But Steve Renaud, big mistake from I think 4th or 5th on your grid. He got out into that inside wall, and that checks up the entire field. Big mistake from him as they're 4 wide for a moment in their mid-pack through the middle of 1 and 2, but they get themselves slowly fanning back out of their 2x2 in deep parts of the field. But Lewis Hewitt, he gets a clean breakaway over Ricky Sanders, followed by Bob King, Cameron Holla, and Steve Renaud. That's going to be your top 5. 6, we have Chase Briscoe with a big move on Kevin J. Hawley as they worked into at the off of corner number 2. 3 wide again in the back of your field. Car in the wall, I believe, as well. That's Bill Wren, slow down the back straightaway, but he keeps it straight, so we're going to stay green. Car up in the wall, and Steve Renaud again with Holla as they're 3 wide for a moment, entering 1 and 2. Off the corner they come, and down the back straightaway, and Bob King has a big breakaway from P number 4. We get one car, I think, tagging the wall. That may have been race leader Lewis Hewitt, tagging the exit of that wall off corner number 4, which is something that is very easy to do here. 2 things you got to watch coming through that second half of the racetrack. He's catching the front end on that inside wall and not tapping that right rear on the outside wall. Very, very easy to do here at Williams Grove. End of lap number 13, coming to lap number 14. Is there 2x2 in your mid-pack? Cameron Holla, Kevin Hawley, Tim Ryan, as well as Steve Renaud, all fighting for your positions. This is going to be for the tail end of your top 5. If those guys manage to catch up, Steve Renaud has gotten a good breakaway and caught to the back end of Chase Briscoe, who currently rides 4th. You see the top side of the racetrack beginning to get some momentum in some ways. Some drivers are choosing to go out there as Chase Briscoe used it to defend from Steve Renaud coming off of corner number 4. This time off of corner number 2, though, Renaud not good track. traction. And let's see, where do they go this time? This time it's opposite. Briscoe to the bottom, Renaud to the top. Let's see what kind of momentum can Renaud get off that top groove. He gets a bit, but not enough. And to the top again goes Renaud through 1 and 2. Down the back straightaway, and Renaud has a big head of steam down this back straightaway. Briscoe, they tap wheels for a moment, but Briscoe's going to try to slide up in front of him. Isn't able to do so, puts Renaud in the wall, who goes up on his wing. Big impact, and Steve Renaud, I think, not going to be happy about that whatsoever. Byproduct of close racing sometimes here in these 410 sprint cars, but I have to say that's all on Chase Briscoe. Steve Renaud was more than there, and especially the run he got off corner number 2. You always knew that Renaud was going to be quick along that top side of the racetrack, and Briscoe just dove in a little bit too hard, but with not enough head of steam to be able to get clear of Steve under any circumstance. And for that reason, Briscoe just slid up in front of the 5 and essentially sent him around, put him upside down. So I think that's all on Chase there. But that's going to be your third caution of the night, and this will take us past half distance. Will be about 10 laps to go once we go back to green flag racing here tonight at Williams Grove. Take a look at your field if there's any big movers and shakers. Chase Briscoe is one of them for sure. Started 13th and currently up in that 4th position. Bob King, another one, P7 to P3. Kevin J. Hawley, P9 to P6. Everyone else has sort of moved down or only moved up a couple of spots. So just keeping an eye now on that safety truck. And whether or not those lights will go out this time by or next time by. If they go out this time by, we'll be green with 10 laps to go. Let's see, people in your midfield starting to form themselves back up, and your leaders are as well. So going to be 1 lap to go here at Williams Grove, under caution that is, 1 to green I should say. And we going green with 10 laps left of racing here in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. So with that incident, by the way, we did lose another. Actually, no, I take that back. He's still out there circulating on the racetrack. But Bill Lorenz, after some issues on that last green flag run, he's currently scored 1 lap down, but he will be restarting from the back of the field. But still, 12 cars running in this one. Austin Selman, the only one whose race has been scored done. Pace truck comes in, and Lewis Hewitt back in command of the field. Green flag will fly in a moment, and there it goes. Hewitt gets on the go pedal early as they come off corner number 4, and this time Hewitt doesn't get such a good jump. Ricky Sanders might be able to make something about this, but no, he decides to mirror your leader down into 1 and 2 on the bottom. Bob King makes a fantastic move to get himself comfortably into P3 as they work themselves into P3, corners number 3 and 4. Briscoe working the top as Bob King just slides up in front of him on the exit of corner number 4. Into 1 and 2, your field works again. 9 laps running, and you see about half your field opting for the bottom, the other half opting for the top. Both sides of the racetrack starting to come in right now. Bob King goes into corner number 1 and 2. Chase Briscoe overdrives the top of the racetrack, gets sideways. ERT car gets involved. I'm not sure who that was, but this is going to be, I think, 4th caution of the evening. We have Keith Starnes as well as Cameron Holla involved in this one. I have to see what happened here, because I only caught about the tail end of that incident. I think it began with Chase Briscoe coming off corner number 4, well, going into corner number 3 even a little bit hard. So basically what happened to that, Briscoe went really hard into corner number 3, caught the back end of the 8 of Bob King, and Kevin J. Hawley, once the 13 of Briscoe had to check up after that little contact with the 8. Hawley really had nowhere to go, and that slowed the 2 of them up a lot, and that just forced the number 11 machine of Cameron Holla really nowhere to go. He had to really just crank that wheel left, try to spin that car around almost. To get it stopped to not cause a much bigger incident. And well, Derek Walker caught a piece of the 11, and well, there's a couple other cars involved as well. But that all started that little initial incident there with Briscoe and the 8. So caution flies again tonight, and that just goes to show you the domino effect that can happen in these sorts of sprint cars, even on the tail end of what is some relatively small incidents. But not a great night for Briscoe. I don't think he's going to be making too many fans out there on the racetrack tonight. Second questionable incident, I think, for him. We'll have to see if he can rebound from that, because that's going to lose him in position. He's also got a bit more damage at the tail end of this one. That front wing a little bit crumpled, and that could majorly affect his aero numbers as he tries to work this World of Outlaw Craftsman 410 sprint car into these corners at racing speed. You really depend on that front wing to keep that nose planted, especially as you try to come off these corners here on a track like Williams Grove, track like this, famous for the wheel stands in these 410 sprint cars. That said, lights go out on your safety trucks. You will be green at the end of lap number 26, beginning of lap number 27, and I dare say unless we get a caution within like corners number 1 and 2, I believe caution will end this race. If these guys get 1 or 2 laps logged, any caution would end it from there. So who is it going to be? Ricky Sanders has shown good pace, but Lewis Hewitt has done a fantastic job of gapping himself early on these restarts. Bob Keane and Kevin J. Hawley, they've both done a great job of keeping themselves in the mix as well. 2 drivers who started in the tail end of your pack. Pace truck on pit lane, and Lewis Hewitt in the 2 gets on it. Green flag flies here. It's a much cleaner start for Hewitt this time as they're side by side for 3rd. King on the bottom with Chase Briscoe working the top. You got Ken J. Hawley up there on the top as well. Bob King gets fantastic traction on the bottom and just drives straight clear of Chase Briscoe. Briscoe again super aggressive on the entry into 3 and 4. Shoots up all the way to the wall. The fight's on for your race lead, side by side, but a major incident down your front straightaway, and that may have just sealed it for Ricky Sanders, who just nosed ahead of the 2 of Lewis Hewitt just as the caution flew. I think the 4 of Sanders may have just robbed this one from that number 2 machine. Gonna get a replay of that incident though in just a moment's time. Not sure what caused this one. There's actually a couple incidents. The 10 of Derek Walker, he got into it side by side, a little bit further down, a little bit further back on the racetrack. That was Chad Robinson and Derek Walker, and then that 3rd and secondary incident. Basically 2 separate incidents happened in similar parts of the racetrack. This one was basically all on Briscoe. Briscoe just through 3 and 4. He threw it into corner number 3 and 4, super aggressive, ran all the way out to the wall, and he ended up just losing traction up there, and really just no way to say it. Briscoe just drove into the 3 of Tim Ryan and caused a huge pileup coming off corner number 4. No way to really avoid that or put blame anywhere else. That's just Chase Briscoe, I think, completely overdriving it there. The 5 and 3 got involved as well. So a handful of incidents there in that final moment. Actually, kind of awkward moment. Couple, 2 or 3 different incidents that all happened at once there that were in some ways related, but in other ways not. But regardless, it is official. The number 4 of Ricky J. Sanders, after a fantastic restart, drives around the outside of Lewis Hewitt at the prime opportunity in 1 and 2, and just as he gets clear, the caution flies, and he is officially scored ahead of Lewis Hewitt, so he will not lead a single lap under green flag conditions. He only lead under green for probably about 100 feet, but that's enough here on the iRacing service. And because of that, Ricky Sanders, he will win the season finale here at Williams Grove. He pulls a big celebratory wheel stand into corner number 1 and 2 down your front straightaway as that checker flies. So he's going to do himself a bit of a hot lap here, come back onto the front straightaway, and I'm sure he's going to wheel this car around a little bit. Actually, we got a few guys still hot lapping out here, having a little bit of fun. But that is the end of the 30 laps of official action here live from Williams Grove. So with that, let's go down your post-race results as Ricky Sanders, probably the worst donuts I've ever seen, ended up on his side. So Ricky J. Sanders snags a win here at Williams Grove in the season finale, race number 12. Lewis Hewitt, who led the entire way up until that point. I think that 2 machine isn't going to be too happy about the way he lost this one. He only lost the lead for a moment, and that's the moment that caution flew and gave the lead to the number 4, Ricky Sanders. Kevin J. Hawley will finish 3rd with Bob King 4th, and Chase Briscoe, after a pretty, let's say, controversial drive, comes from the back of the field up to 5th. Chad Robinson comes home 6th. Cameron Hollis 7th. Derek Walker will finish 8th, and he'll be your last car scored on the lead lap. Bill Lorenz will round out your the 9th position, with Keith Starnes finishing off your top 10. Tim Ryan finishes 11th. Stephen Renaud 12th, with Austin Selman coming home 13th. 28 laps down. Not, unfortunately, the race I was looking for tonight. A little bit too many cautions that I personally would have liked. But that said, a lot of drama and a lot of action here at Williams Grove, which you can always get here in the World of Outlaws 410 Craftsman Sprint Car Series. But that is going to do it for us here on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live. It's been a fantastic championship through 12 weeks, and hopefully going into the next season, it will be awesome as well. We're going to have, of course, some new dirt track coming in Sobo, I believe. I might be wrong about that. I think I am wrong about that, but new dirt track coming in the next build. That I think is going to be a lot of fun and really just shake up this championship. And we will be back here on RaceSpot TV, iRacing Live, and on Dirt Vision in 2 weeks' time for the opening round of your World of Outlaws Craftsman 410 Sprint Car Series here on iRacing, and that will be at Eldora, like I said, in 2 weeks. So, from Randy Chineth, from Cam Walsh, and from Hugo Louis, we will see you next time. Enjoy your week 13. Bye-bye.